On November 20th, 2023, Lane County staff presented to the Springfield City Council about the facility. A number of issues were left unresolved and no decisions were made.
There's been, I don't know if you want to call it rumor or estimations or talk of requiring regional waste haulers and not allow them to tip anywhere else but here.
So, Councilor, we are not talking about flow control at this point. So flow control is requiring waste to come to the facility. We think that we can operate this in an economical manner where it's beneficial to the haulers to come here. When you talked about 80% of the cost being trucking, personnel, all that, that would be very expensive to drive to the nearest landfill up to Coffin Butte. We think there'll actually be some savings to the haulers here because it'll be closer than to the landfill. They won't have to drive up onto the ever-changing gravel roads up on the landfill to save time. Time is money for them. We'll also have a place where they can bring the commingled recycling and not have to truck that clear up to Portland. So we're hoping that those offset actually the increases to tipping fees, and that it will just make economic sense for the haulers to continue.
So that's kind of an unknown for right now.
We also don't know that we even have the legal authority to require flow control in the cities. So our county council is looking at that, but we're hoping that we can operate this in a way that doesn't need that. The people, the haulers would want to use this facility.
Next, I guess, question that I have is really around this issue about flow control. And I keep listening for the clarity in the conversations. I've been following this for about the last month. Are you saying that we're never going to have flow control, that's off the table?
Mayor, I'm not saying that. I'm saying that, one, I'm hoping that we don't have to have that conversation because I don't really want to set up a fight that we don't need. The second piece is that, as far as my reading of Oregon statute, is that we could only apply flow control outside of the city limits, but we're waiting for a county council opinion on that. But that's is my reading. That's what, if you just look at the plain language of it, it talks about our authority being outside of the cities. So
I guess my sense of this is I don't ever, in the conversations that I see, I don't hear people coming to some sort of agreement about, just the narrative of actually what's going on. And I don't know that means, that, we have the wrong facts. I don't know that, but I hear a lot of questions still out there in the community. And I know that the pressure with the tax credit is for to run here as fast as you can. But when I listen to what the haulers have told me, when I, hear what IP has said, just more broadly, there's still a lot of questions in the community about what's the benefit, what are we trying to accomplish, and do we have the right size of facility that makes some sort of sense here?
Yes, Mayor. It is a challenge, with the timelines on this project. But there are also lots of conversations happening out in the community, and there are different interests at play. One thing that should be acknowledged, with solid waste, while it's a utility, it's unique in that there's competition in it, that's not happening at the wastewater treatment plant, for example. So there are different haulers that have different interests. There's different processors that have different interests, and they're competing. You're unique here having one hauler for your community, but in Eugene, there are 3 different haulers operating. And so there are, lots of conversations happening and concern about competition between each other with our facility that we're proposing. And so there are just lots of conversations happening, and I'm not sure anyone's satisfied with having all the information.
And we're never going to make everybody happy, right? But there's big differences in some of the just core facts. Like when you tell the story, you say that this should be a competitive advantage in the way that it drives the tonnage into the facility, right? But I've yet to hear, when I've watched the Lane County meetings, I've seen it at City Club, I've yet to hear anybody else but Lane County sort of say that that's true, right? And one of the things I'm looking for is people to kind of say the same thing and go, okay, yeah, I could see how that's a competitive advantage, which tells me there's probably more work to be done between the county and some of these other partners. It doesn't mean that it can't be accomplished, but there's still a gap there.
The council voted unanimously after the presentation to draft a letter to send to the county stating their